Dell Inspiron 2-in-1 laptops with 1080p touchscreens are great for students using them at uni and for portable work for anyone else. They are small with a 14-inch screen, though they are on the heavier side at 1.538 kilograms, which can get slightly uncomfortable if holding it for an extended period at first. But whether you are taking notes in class or doing a study session, you will likely have a table anyway. The port selection is decent with an SD card reader, a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port, a headphone jack, and the lock slot on the right. And the power jack, HDMI 1.4B, which supports 4K at 24Hz and 1080p at 120Hz, among other features linked below. Another USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port, and a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-C port on the left. Fortunately, the laptop can't be opened with only one hand, but on the inside you see the decent keyboard, but more importantly a decently sized trackpad. However, if you want, you can use an external mouse plugged into one of the USB-A ports, and then we have that 1080p touchscreen, 14-inch. Camera would focus on it, and it breaks up fairly quickly, as you can see. Turn it automatically, and touch fingerprint sensor there. It goes into Windows really quickly as well upon unlocking it. Open up Task Manager using Control-Shift-Escape. You can take a decent look at the specs of this base model Inspiron. This has the i3-1115 G4 from Intel, which has 2 cores and 4 threads. I am currently running in Performance BIOS, which means that it's boosted pretty decently. And this is on battery power as well at the moment. Also has 4 gigs of 3200 MHz RAM and 256GB NVMe SSD with a Wi-Fi 6 card inside. However, there is no Ethernet port on the laptop itself, so you're stuck with Wi-Fi unless you use an adapter to Ethernet from the USB-C port. Though this is all perfectly decent enough for general work applications. I might recommend upgrading the RAM if you want to do anything particularly more or multiple things at the same time. As you can see right now, most of the RAM is being used, but I will be showing the upgrade later on. The build quality of this laptop is also pretty decent, with minimal dead flex and screen flex when moved, and it rotates around on the hinge very nicely. Try to do this. Inch. Tablet mode then that will automatically disables the keyboard, the power button and fingerprint sensor still work. You can also flip it all the way around and anywhere in between, which is also very good because of the way it bends. Leaving a gap underneath. You also get the DELL Active Pen, which has, well, the base one has 2 buttons, control, pen, screen. Unfortunately, on this Inspiron, it does not support the pressure sensitivity, and you can use the pen to draw, to write, and convert handwriting to text on any sort
laptops which support the pressure sensitivity. You can find that information on Dell's website online. It also tells you which laptops actually support the pen itself, not necessarily all the features on the pen support page, product page. And this should work with many other pens. It's using Microsoft Pen Protocol 2. So you can see as we put the pen close. So put the pen close to the screen. Not showing that. So it's
As you can see, the pen has the AAA battery compartment at the top with 2 buttons and of course the pressure sensitive tip at the bottom. It also has 2 magnets on the other side to the buttons, which enable you to store the pen pretty much anywhere on the laptop.
Despite only having a 40 watt-hour battery, the battery life on this Inspiron laptop is actually fairly decent. Though it could just be my model, I do get some flickering on battery power when in dark screens. Different settings. There is some amount of flickering on the display. Not sure if it shows up on camera particularly well. At the black and the dark colours flicker a little bit. And now I'm going to open up the laptop to then upgrade the RAM, so you can see we've got 3 screws at the top and then 6 screws on the bottom. Keep those separate. Just unscrew each of them. And keep the top 3 screws separate from the bottom 6 when you unscrew them all, because they are different screws. Top 3 screws are actually quite nice because they stay in, but it pulls the bottom of the display up a little bit, the bottom of the base cover up a little bit. So there's now a bit of a separation. You then spudge or pull all the way around the bottom cover, such that you can then lift it off, and this is now the inside of the Inspiron laptop with the 40 watt-hour battery, as you can see there. You've got your M2 drive under here. Screws there. Got your RAM under these covers. Your Wi-Fi card, I expect there. Speakers and the fan for the CPU. Now going to install the RAM. But before I do that, as a bit of a security snare, safety stone, I will unplug the battery. Battery unplugged, and additionally you then need to open up the laptop again and press and hold the power button for 15 seconds. drain any remaining power in the system for safety with uninstalling components or touching the components themselves. It's also ideal when working with electronics to be safe with electrostatics. So I'll show what I did there. So you open up the flap, push out each of the clips. You see the RAM lifts up, and then pull the RAM out, and then get your new RAM. Make sure you line up the slot with the gap with the slot in the line. So in this case, like that. Push it in to the slot and push down until the clips on both sides are slotted in. You do the same with the other one. Push it down. Catch up, both clips are in. We can now plug the battery back in. Carefully. As you can see here, in terms of other expandability, unfortunately, there's only that one M2 slot. This might have potentially space for 3.5 inch that is slightly too small there. You've got the 3-cell 40 watt-hour batteries, 1, 2, and 3 cells. And now we need to put the cover back on. You push the cover back into the laptop and the rest of the laptop until you hear a click, and then you can screw down the top 3 screws again before doing the other 6.
Now that I've got the RAM installed, going to open up Task Manager using Control-Shift-Escape and go check in the Memory tab in Performance. Now we've got 16 gigabytes of RAM, which, as you can see, we do in 2 slots. Something to bear in mind, however, is that it is only running at 2667 MHz, because even though the original RAM ran at 3200 MHz, there is no way to enable XMP or overclock the RAM in the BIOS of this laptop. You shouldn't see much performance difference, especially when just doing everyday work activities and things like that, browsing the internet, even streaming to Discord and things like that. It's just something to bear in mind when purchasing RAM to upgrade this laptop. I have actually edited and will be rendering this video on the Inspiron on battery for some of it as well. Now, as this video is getting on a bit, I will have to do the benchmarks in a part 2, so keep an eye out for that. But what I will say for now is that, of course, the G7 equipped higher end laptops would do better in the benchmarks, though I won't be testing them because they only have this model available to me. But they also come with more RAM and storage, as well as the better processor and GPU performance in those CPUs.